What have you been saying about the trending issues? Bukola joins me now to walk through it. Bukola, what do you have for us?
Quite a lot, Kadi. Hello again. Nigerians have been saying quite a lot, especially about fuel subsidy, which is featuring prominently in the comment section this morning. Also, Nigerians are talking about the alternative to fuel subsidy or the consequence of fuel subsidy, which is what the federal government is planning for tomorrow, the distribution of 2,000 tricycles to young Nigerians. But let's start on a light-hearted note, Kadi, this morning.
I think we need that.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo seemed to thrill audiences over the weekend at a wedding, and I guess it was also at the 70th birthday of one of Nigeria's faith patriarchs, where he, addressed audience and to their delight. But let's start with what he did, at a wedding.
And maybe look at it?
Yeah, look at it as well.
Right.
Okay,
So
should we look at it first
it.
before we take the comments? Maybe we should look at it first. Okay, we'll take that later on. But Bert Samuel is the first person speaking this morning, and he says, these old men are known for their strength. Even with age, Obasanjo is still strong and still has a good memory. Not very many old men. The former president stands out as far as this is concerned. When he mounted the podium over the weekend at the birthday celebration of the faith patriarch Bishop Oyedepo, he did that with such agility, unknown to elders his age. And we also saw him sometime last year, I think during the centenary celebration of his secondary school, that would be Baptist Boys High School, and he walked down with all the others with such briskness, that you would just only, have no other choice but to admire, and wish he would be able to do some of these things that he does when you're his age.
Well, in case you're wondering how old is he, he's 87.
Yeah.
Right, so almost 90, and he's played football and done all of that. So that was a sight for a lot of people. It was cheery, it was good to see, something lighthearted just to maybe take away all of that stress and the tightness. But let's turn our attention to something that the Minister of Power said. And that's that 40% of Nigerians are enjoying 20 hours of electricity supply daily. So I know there's been a lot of debate back and forth. Are you part of the 40%? How much power are you enjoying on a daily basis? I mean, some of us can say maybe we're getting as much as that daily. I think there's been an improvement. But the danger of a one-sided story. It's important to speak your side of the story. But just before that, let us show you former President Olusegun Obasanjo busting that move. I think it's important for you to get a sense of what we're saying. There you go. Just in case you missed that, that is how it went.
And did you see him shaking it out?
That's really good to see, right? So that's just a side for you, really. How many of you can bust that kind of move? So let's move to
at 87.
At 87, right? Even at 40. But let's turn our attention to what the Minister of Power said. About 40% of Nigerians enjoying 20 hours electricity supply daily. And naturally, a lot of people have, been reacting to that one. So Abdul Rashid has the first comment on the Minister of Power's statement. And there you go. It says, I may agree with him that 40% of those who have access to electricity are enjoying 20 hours of supply daily. However, not up to 40% of Nigerian homes have access to electricity. Example is that my entire local government in Nasarawa State is not yet connected to the national grid. Abdul Rashid, would like you to follow up and let us know what local government you're in Nasarawa State, so this can be further amplified. And what exactly this is 2024, Bukola, to hear that a local government, not a small community, not a building, a local government is not connected to the national grid. We need to understand what's playing out there.
And Kadi, Nasarawa State may not be the only state that has this particular challenge. And you were talking about the danger of a single story earlier on. some Band B customers in a particular local government, I think in Lagos, last week protested about the
upgrade.
Yeah, the upgrade,
by
and
force.
asked the power companies to address it because they're having the challenge of power. And if you talk about something similar to Nasarawa State, the communities in the riverine area in Ondo State, in Bokoda, they haven't had power for a number of years. I don't know if that has changed yet. If you're in that area, you can write to us and let us amplify your story. But I know that for a long time, they were without power. But let's continue with what Nigerians are saying this morning as far as that is concerned. Crypto enthusiasts said, to be candid, light, well, that's what we call it in this part of the world, power supply has really improved in my area. It may not be up to 20 hours, but it is close to it. Which area are you in? Maybe next time you're writing, you let us know.
Let us know.
So that we can also balance the story. This is a Nigerian that is saying that power has improved.
There you go. Sahid is next, saying that electricity supply has significantly improved in the last few months, no doubt, but saying 40% of Nigerians enjoy 20 hours of the daily electricity, this user says is exaggerated. Quotes NESG's H1 2024 Outlook report saying that only 60.5% of Nigerians have access to electricity. This says, where did the Honorable Minister get his figure? I don't know if your own figure refutes what he said, because yours quotes the people who have access to electricity. And that's more than 40% of Nigerians. So does that mean that 40% of the 60.5, you know what? But it's important to always put the figures in context. But that's what Sahid has to say about this one. And what is the source?
And so who has the responsibility to take an inventory of the improvement of power supply?
If not the Minister
all the
of Power.
power companies. We have different power companies now. It may not necessarily be the Minister of Power. Does he have all of the data?
Well, it's the Minister of Power.
Those are the questions that we should ask. But it's being contested. That's the issue.
That's why I'm asking. I need to see data that directly contests this, not data that speaks to much general issue about the number of Nigerians who have access to electricity, and not the ones enjoying 40% or rather 20 hours of electricity. So it's just different data speaking to different things. I'd like to see one that speaks directly to what the minister says. All right.
So let's go to the next talking point now. Or do we have more time to exhaust this one?
I think Crypto Guru also says my local government is not among the 40%. Like a week now, no light.
So let us know the local government. That's the issue. As Kanye said, we're looking for data that counters what the Honorable Minister has said. Mr. Pero said, I'm enjoying more than 20 hours in businesses, Band A, and 18 to 20 at home, Band B. Okay, so different perspectives this morning.
He even says businesses get 24 hours for days in a
row now.
So I think generality of people seem to agree. Now, there are instances of local governments that are not connected to the grid, areas that have not had light for over 1 week. So we need to deal with those ones so that they can also be captured. And final one on this is from Denzi. Yes, says 60% of Nigeria are people below poverty line. Nice one, Minister. No data to prove the 40%. So Nigerians are just asking for proof. What data did you rely on? And it's expected that the minister has the dashboard. You should be able to see what the discourse have supplied over a few. I mean, that's what it is, right? So I imagine that the minister is speaking from a place of authority. But just to confirm,
hopefully,
I'd like to see what the minister is seeing. Just to confirm, not that the minister is lying, just so that we can all confirm. Minister, I would like to see that data source.
Okay, so off to the next talking point now, and this time around, Nigerians are talking about something else. Fuel subsidy, and it was on the strength of our conversation with the former Speaker of the House of Representatives over the weekend, I believe, when he said that the current president did not remove subsidy. And that's the fact, really. Subsidy was off of the 2023 budget and was only paid up until June last year. And in fact, the group managing director of the NNPCL had also said in subsequent conversations with Channels Television that the NNPCL was taking care of subsidy payments that the federal government wasn't paying, and the shortfall under recovery was being shouldered by the NNPCL. So let's hear what you're saying this morning. Uche Chari says he's right. PIA, that's the legislation, automatically removed subsidy when it was passed. It provided payment till June 2023, even though Buhari-led administration stopped paying around February 2023. One may say is part of the debt NNPCL accumulated. What Tinubu did was to take the bold step. Now, let's not go speaking for the NNPCL, particularly if you're not the publicity manager of the NNPCL.
Right.
NNPCL has a lot of explaining to do as far as finances is concerned. So we demand more accountability. But we hear you, Uche Chari. Thank you for writing it.
And just in case you're wondering what exactly the former speakers say, we'll take a listen to it, and then we'll take more comments from you.
We must accept, whether we like it or not, except we're disingenuous, to say that the removal of subsidy itself, whether the president did say that subsidy was gone or that he was removing subsidy, we all know that subsidy had been removed before he was elected. And then we must accept, whether we like it or not, except we're...
It's really, that's the former speaker. They're speaking with Channels Television, really. The president has said that we had to remove subsidy and unify the FX. We had to remove the twin evils. I'm trying to remember the term that was used, such that we can get our economy in good stead. Yes, while I understand the semantics, the budgeting and all of that, but the truth is the president upheld that removal in court because he had a decision to make. He could have returned it. I mean, there are budgets that you can say, you know what, let us keep that. In fact, Bukola, it's been said that we're still paying subsidy. So
right? So
I'm not really sure.
It's a testy issue.
Yeah,
I was
really
going there.
What is this about? But this next user, Abel Uchi, known as says, fuel subsidy was removed before handing power to Tinubu. Supplementary budget prepared by the past administration for the preceding year never captured fuel subsidy. Let us be truthful. So what's going on?
Well, Kenny is the next speaker this morning, and Kenny says, at official APC Nigeria, that said, should stop making excuses and take to constructive solution-based leadership. Fuel subsidy removal is a good thing. Lack of coordinated activities to bridge the gap is what caused the downturn. And that's the issue, really. You know, some would say, what was the plan for fuel subsidy removal? And here we are with inflation as a consequence of subsidy removal, food inflation hitting the rooftops, with some sectors, some stakeholders in the economy frowning on the figures released by the NBS, saying that it is a lot higher than what we're experiencing if you really go to the market. That food inflation is a lot higher than 40%. But anyway, Kenny goes on to say official BAT wants to take out subsidy and still maintain importation.
So I'm trying to properly quote the president on this matter of fuel subsidy and all. It said that I unified foreign exchange rate, removed fuel subsidy to save Nigeria from financial hemorrhage. So the president had said, I think it was in Lagos, visited Lagos at that time when he was saying that. So I'm not even sure what this is meant to achieve, really, because we're in that challenge. Let's find a way out of it. But take a look at what this user says. Abubakar Danladi says, then who? Who said subsidy is gone from today and increases the fuel pump prices with immediate effect? Who said dollar should change itself? Who? This user asks.
Well, as far as Danladi is concerned, it doesn't matter who removed it from the books. It's the person that made the announcement that is the culprit. Well, let's move on to other matters. We're still talking subsidy. And
yes.
This time around, the subject matter concerns the governor of Ogun State, Governor Dapo Abiodun, who says the fuel subsidy removal has saved Nigeria 5.4 trillion naira. And of course, you know, quite a number of reactions are trailing that as well, because subsidy is a testy matter in the country. Evaristus Ordinekaize, I hope I got your name correctly, says, saved 5.4 trillion naira. Where did this savings saved or transferred to? And if indeed this amount is saved in cash or deed, what's the net benefit when compared to avoidable human deaths and sufferings resulting from subsidy removal till date? Show us the numbers and the results. We can conclude for ourselves whether there's any savings or losses.
And that is, I think, just at the heart of the issue. When you say money has been saved, people want to see what it has gone to. Now, the government might say FAC allocations increased, but we just discussed that in spite of the FAC allocation increase, states are even deeper in debt. So it's really tough to align with that. Olanusi Akintayo has the next one, saying the question is, what is the impact of the 5.4 trillion naira on the economy? Are Nigerians better off now than when the subsidy was removed? Big question mark there.
Big question mark there. And, you know, we could also ask questions of the Ogun State governor himself, because the subnationals have, you know, had increased allocation as a result of fuel subsidy savings by 50% or 40%, according to reports. So where are all those savings, particularly, you know, following the concern about dilapidated roads in Ogun State, those on the border, particularly with Lagos State? There was, you know, a flurry of reactions and concern about those roads, the state of those roads. So we demand that whatever the governor has collected from increased FAC allocation should be seen, should reflect on those roads, let them be fixed, such that, you know, commerce will become viable, and value of property in those areas will also increase, and then we can have an improved economy. So important questions to ask of the Ogun State governor, who is drawing our attention to this matter. Yinka Afe says, so if we've saved this much, instead of subsidizing education, why do we have to increase our college fees, unity schools and varsities? Where's this 5.7 trillion naira? Another important question.
Taiwo is next, saying, so we saved money we would have otherwise spent on fuel. Okay, but now that we've saved it, what will we do with it? So this is actually doesn't stop there. It says it's all going to magically disappear. That's what this user believes, since after all, our savings, it won't be declared in our revenue statement. So open the books, be transparent, be accountable. And Nigerians won't contest these things much because they have the facts in front of them, because you have put it out there. This is what the money was used for, and this is the evidence. Not just FAC allocation, let us see the evidence of the monies being used, particularly by the state government. So this is, it's very interesting. It's like you were going to point a finger, but then the rest was pointing back at you. So yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, FG to distribute, that's the next talking point, by the way. 2,000 CNG-powered tricycles to youths across Nigeria from October the 1st, 2024. So that's not like, you know, doing what you ought to have done at the beginning before the removal of fuel subsidy, doing it after the fact. It's like medicine after death.
This was promised over a year ago.
Over a year ago.
I should say,
and the buses have only begun to come in the last couple of months, from about August, the distribution of the CNG buses. Still, we haven't seen the impact on the economy. Important questions to ask there. So Reliable Reports is the first speaker this morning, and they say this initiative could boost youth employment and promote cleaner transport options in Nigeria.
So I think everybody is in support of the CNG alternative. I think the onboarding cost is the challenge for a lot of people. And for commercial vehicles who have onboarded, have they reduced the price or their own transportation pricing to customers? Do they even tell you that, oh, I'm doing CNG, so don't pay 100 naira? Pay 70 naira or 80 naira.
Well, to address that, the leader of the head of the presidential initiative was saying over the weekend that those tricycles will be tagged PCNI, Presidential Initiative for CNG or something like that, such that, you know, those tricycles will charge less of the usual price.
No, I'm saying there are vehicles, taxis, you know, those ones on the ride-hailing apps that have switched to CNG. So I'm saying that as that reflected in their pricing as well, because you're not spending as much on petrol. That's the question mark. It's for those ones. While the tricycles, we've not really seen that. I'm talking about the taxis, because I know a couple of them have switched, but you probably will not see that reflected in their pricing. The next user, Ajibari Talk, says, I hope there are plans for maintenance and support for these youths. It is important to ensure the initiative is sustainable and truly beneficial in the long run.
And Ebuzo says, it's CNG. That means cost of buying gas for this is far lower than the normal keke. Government should simply employ riders who will charge at FG stipulated rates so as to cushion the problem of high transportation costs in the country. And, you know, this goes to what Kadi was saying, that there are some who have actually switched, but, you know, the pricing is not reflecting on their service. So how, for those who have switched and switched on the aid of government, because government provided the intervention, you know, for those vehicles to, some of the vehicles to switch, we can't confirm all of that. So how do they monitor to ensure that they charge lower rates?
And the elephant in the room is some people then asking, if this is the way to go now, what happens to the Port Harcourt refinery for the petrol bit of it, the Dangote refinery? Because that's been the major issue, supply petrol. 60 million liters per day is what we consume. No, we consume 30 million liters or 40 million liters. So if this is the way to go, what happens to petrol in the next few years. Eventually, if everybody converts and says, this is cheaper, what happens to our petrol?
Well, Dangote is a businessman. I'm sure he's thinking ahead. Maybe there's a component for the manufacture of CNG as well to also take care of domestic needs.
There should also be other derivatives. I'm just wondering, because there's been a lot of talk about it. There's been a lot of investment. The Port Harcourt refinery, there's the Kaduna refinery. All of them still tentative, right? But that's a big question. What does the future hold? In the meantime, keep your comments coming in. Hashtag CTV Morning Brief. We've walked through some of the major talking points right now, but there's still more to come right here on the Morning Brief in just a moment. Stay with us. It's a day before Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary commemoration. It's meant to be low-key, but we'll take a look at the issues to focus on. That's the moment. Stay with us.